like we're ready to get started. So thank you guys so much for coming here. Special thanks to Bob for helping us secure this library room. This is really nice for me to be able to kind of, present myself, present my ideas in such a nice setting with the PowerPoint projector. We have enough room for everybody, so really nice to be here. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ian Lane. I just started working with the Earthquakes this summer. I moved here from San Luis Obispo. Before that, I grew up mostly on the Central Coast, like Orca, Santa Maria, if you guys know where that is, about an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara. So I actually just moved into my apartment in Santa Clara, not this Tuesday, but last Tuesday. So before that, I had a pretty decent career. So this is kind of what we'll go over. Some of the stuff for the schedule is wrong, because this is the same presentation I did with my 07 teams. So we can talk about that when we get to it. I didn't have any time to edit it today. I've been on the field since 9 a.m. this morning. But we'll still make sure we go through everything, and we'll do a little Q&A at the end with me, with Bob, and all the team managers to make sure we answer everyone's questions. All right, so like I said, a little bit on my background. So as a player, I was a very humble goalkeeper. Not a lot of accolades as a player. I realized pretty early on my future probably wasn't on the field as a player. So I got into coaching pretty early, actually. So this is a picture of my 2016 from last season in San Luis Obispo, after we just won our league title for CCSL for the bronze division. So we popped a couple bottles of champagne on the field afterwards. But yeah, I got my start coaching back in my old high school with the JV girls team. So I coached them for a couple seasons. When I was in San Luis Obispo, I started working with the club teams. So actually it's been a really nice transition for me with the Earthquakes. With San Luis Obispo, I had the 06 and 07 teams, and out here I'm working with 06s and 07, so there's been a lot of continuity for me in terms of methodology. I kind of understand what the kids can handle at this age, I understand what they can learn, and I kind of understand what's possible in teaching it to them. So I really got into coaching, well, I wouldn't even say coaching, I really got into trying to understand soccer on a deeper level, probably around 2008, 2009. There was a Barcelona team at the time that was incredible. I think they won 6 trophies in a year. Basically, every competition they entered that season, they won. And I remember sneaking out after lunch and checking out the Champions League games, because those are on like in the middle of the day at like 11:45, and watching those teams play. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I had a feeling that there was something there that I didn't understand that was allowing them to play that way. So they had Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, Xavi, Puyol, all those guys, and they played a really possession-based style of play. They'd have the ball for 60, 70, 80% of the game even. And, the narrative at the time from a lot of the mainstream media was they have the best players. When you have the best players, you just pass the ball, it's easy. But watching some of their games, I had a sense there was a little bit more to it. But this was really the first team that kind of got me excited about, about soccer and about trying to understand it at a deeper level.
Ojalá termine con 22 protagonistas sobre el terreno de juego. La pelota para Henry, encarando sobre Sergio Ramos. Le amaga para abrirse el hueco y tocar atrás sobre Andrés Iniesta. Sobre la línea de Cal, toca Xavi, devuelve Andrés, juega Messi, ahí va Xavi, se frena de nuevo, la saca perfecta para Andrés Iniesta. Vuelve el juego del Barcelona, recorta, sigue Andrés, atención dentro del área, dispara.
So like I said, the narrative at the time from a lot of the sources that I had was, yeah, pass and move, pass and move. We all teach our teams to do that. But watching Barcelona, even something like that, a little rotation at the sideline, you get this sense that there's a system in place, there's some rules in place. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I was pretty hungry to learn a little bit more. And so possession basically forms about half of the playing style that I want to achieve. The other half here is pressure. Barcelona is the darker team. Barcelona team was really the one that inspired me. And even though they're known more for their possession style of play, what really got the gears turning in my mind was watching them defensively. So, you know, if you have the ball for 80% of the game, most of your defending is done in the first couple seconds when you lose it. So they're kind of known for the 6-second rule. As soon as they lose it, they try to win it back within 6 seconds. I remember watching one game against Arsenal in the Champions League where they lost the ball and Messi, Henry, Eto'o, three of the best forwards in the world, immediately began pressuring the ball. And Arsenal is a team that's, you know, really known for their possession style as well in England, and they managed to connect 2, 3, 4 passes, play it back to the goalkeeper. They ended up launching it up the field. Barcelona's defenders brought the ball down, no problem, and started attacking again. And it was like that wave after wave of attack, and it was really inspiring for me to see a team defend and win the ball back without ever touching it, just by the way they pressured. So this basically forms the second half of the style of play I want to implement, pressure. So when you're watching a game, when you're watching a team, whatever's happening on the field during open play, you can basically divide it into 4 moments. So your team's had the ball for a couple passes, you're organized, that's attacking. And again, that's probably what Barcelona is known for. The other part of their style of play is their defensive transition. So as soon as they lose the ball, that's a defensive transition. And like I said, they're known for winning it back quickly. That's the style of play I'm looking to implement as well. So putting in intense pressure around the ball immediately as soon as you lose it. And then if you don't win it back in those first few seconds, you drop into a more organized shape. So that's just the defending phase. And then you have the attacking transition phase. So that's where as soon as you win the ball back. So again, there's a lot of different ways you can play. The style I want to play for like an attacking transition, for example, is just connect a couple safe passes and allow the whole team to open up. That way we can attack with numbers. Rather than a team like Atletico Madrid, they win the ball back, immediately play it up the field, and they look to counterattack a lot quicker. So again, any team you watch, you can identify these 4 phases, whether it's at youth level, whether it's national team level, elite club team level. There's always going to be these phases, but the best teams in the world have a true identity. So Barcelona, even a layperson knows exactly what they look like in each of those phases. Another team like Atletico Madrid, you watch them 1 or 2 times, you kind of understand what they're all about too. So it's really important for our team to have an identity, for us to know exactly what's supposed to be happening in each of these phases. So this is a team out of Southern California. U11. U11 team marching all the way from their own goal, all the way to the other team's goal and scoring. So this team was coached by Brian Kleiban. Now he works with the LA Galaxy Academy, probably the most successful MLS academy, the most successful youth academy right now in the United States. They have 15, 16-year-olds playing with the LA Galaxy 2 team. They have guys training with the first team. So they're pushing players, developing players to a higher standard than just about anyone else in the United States. And these guys are sort of my practical role models, right? So it's difficult to get access to Pep Guardiola from Barcelona and all those guys. But these guys are doing this in Southern California. And actually this last weekend I was down there attending their annual summit where they have presenters and everyone's like-minded trying to play a similar style of play. So it's Brian, his brother Gary, they run 3-4-3. And like I said, they've been the ones who have really kind of helped me to break down the methodology. So if you want to play like this on the weekends, what does it look like in training? And like I said, the proof's in the pudding. They're actually doing what they set out to do. So this game was the SoCal State Cup semifinal in the highest division. So this wasn't some cupcake team that they put the highlights of. this was one of the elite teams in the nation, and they just got waltzed through all the way from one box to the other. So these guys have been kind of my role models, and again, stealing their methodology, stealing what they do at training. Some of these guys might recognize a little drill like this. This is a 3v1 rondo. We've been doing 4v1s with this group, but you can see how doing this type of stuff in training would translate to a possession style of play on the weekends. So this space is probably about half as big as the one that our guys are using. It's tiny. So for the players, you guys can hear every pass they make, right? Even though the video camera is, 20, 30 yards from the field, every single pass you can hear it popping off their foot. So the little details that we're trying to work on as well. So like I said, I've been trying to coach this style of play for a few years at different levels. This is my high school girls team. Had a little bit of success with them.
Go, push.
So if you can, try and pick out the 4 different phases here for both teams.
Come on. Good, good. Go! Go! Right there. It's easy. Forward. Go! Nice! Good girl! Job! Go!
So you can see with the girls, it's a little bit different. It's there's not as much 1v1s, a little bit less dynamism in attack, but you can imagine if the whole game looks like that, possessing the ball, the other team's going to be exhausted after they're chasing it, they're going to get pulled out of position, there's going to be space that opens up further up the field. So like I said, some modest success with that team, and then this is my 06 team from last season, again looking to play a similar style. So not just transitioning to attack straight away, but being patient, getting numbers forward. So the player that took that shot was actually the right back. So even if we do end up going a little bit more direct too, you can see there's still a plan behind it. So, going straight to goal there, the timing of the run, everything is still there, it's still rehearsed, it's still worked on in practice. So nothing's random. So like I said, some modest success at the girls' high school level, some modest success at the younger boys' level. So I've had a little bit of experience implementing this style at different ages and different levels. Okay, and so kind of getting a little bit deeper into my methodology. So there's basically 2 schools of thought. I think you can kind of do a little dichotomy on players, right, and how they fit in. So you have either cogs in the machine, one breaks, you toss it out, you plug in a new one, or you have the other side, the artist. Does anybody know who this guy is? I had to Google him, I don't know. Nobody know? So this is Jackson Pollock, right? The guy who's famous for just splattering everything everywhere. So you have the cogs in the machine on one side, you have the crazy, fanatical artist on the other side for players, right? You let them on the field, let them do their own thing, let them create. Obviously the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? It's not going to be one or the other. So it's about teaching the players to fit into a system, to know their roles, but putting them into a position where they can express themselves in the best way, where they can impact the team in the best way. Compared to most coaches, I probably lean a little bit more towards a systemized style of play. And again, especially at the younger ages, I found that's a lot more beneficial if they fit into their roles, if they understand what they're supposed to be doing in each phase of the game. So you'll find that most players are only going to be playing one or two positions. And again, the reason for that I've found is there's a multiplier effect when everyone understands their role. So if all 9 guys are shrinking towards the ball and they know exactly how to shrink and how to position themselves, you're going to reduce the space drastically for the opposition to play out of. Same thing on offense. If everyone understands the runs they're supposed to make, the passes they're supposed to look for, there's going to be a multiplier effect. So 1 plus 1 will equal 3 rather than just 2. Okay, and again, kind of going a little bit deeper into why I like to limit players to just a couple positions. So the analogy I always use is, you send your kid to school, they're going to learn math, they're going to learn English, right? Every school you go to, they're going to teach roughly the same subjects. So it's still not a good idea to pull them out of school every 2 or 3 months and put them in a new one. So they don't know where to go to lunch anymore, they don't have the same friend group, they don't know where they're getting picked up after school. There's always other variables they have to start worrying about rather than learning the material in school. So every player on this team is expected to contribute on offense, every player is expected to contribute on defense. So let's see if these guys that are here can remember this. So the goalkeeper, guys, is supposed to be the first what?
Attacker.
The first attacker. So we've been working a lot the last couple weeks on playing out from the goalkeeper using their feet to play short passes. And the striker is supposed to be the first what?
Defender.
The first defender. So again, even though they're going to be locked down in just 1 or 2 positions, they're going to be learning how to contribute in every phase of the game. Attacking, defending, goal transitions. All right, and so this kind of gets a little bit deeper into the players. So these are kind of the qualities that coaches look for in general. So kind of like there's 4 phases, there's kind of 4 basic components. So you have a player's technical skills, so that's their skills with the ball. Their tactical skills, that's decision making, and that's probably the biggest thing we'll be working on in training. You have the mental side, right? So are they competitive? Are they managing their bodies properly before games and after games? Basically how they approach the whole environment. And then you have the physical side. So obviously in any sport it's important that you're quick, you're agile, all those different things. But we're looking for soccer specific qualities. So the old age argument, we need to put LeBron James in at striker. We'll get Tom Brady in there as a center back, picking out passes. That's what America's missing, right? Well, in my opinion, not quite. So I'm going to show this next clip twice, and we'll see if you guys can pick out a couple things.
Swings it 6 yards out, but Matt makes a punch, got second on it, comes out to the right edge of the area, Alonso draws it low, not too early by Philadelphia, and then Levin in his field, and there's a good goal, and Tyler, he's got it on the head of Gonzalez, he's got it over the keeper, Levin comes back, with lightning speed to recover this.
So what'd you guys notice? Anybody? Kenta?
They're taking it back and forth.
Yeah, kind of went back and forth a little bit. Anything else? Towards the end, maybe? So that guy, right, hauled butt, overhauled that guy, he probably had a 30-yard lead on him. Right? So that's what a lot of people notice. That's DeAndre Medlin, incredibly fast player playing in England now, U.S. men's national team.
Coach, he has lost 1 cup as a Chicago coach. He has lost 1 cup.
So when I watch this slide, what I notice,
Swings it 6 yards out, but Matt makes a punch, got second on it, comes out to the right edge of the area, Alonso draws it low.
so watch this
Not
guy.
too early by Philadelphia, and then Levin in his field, and there's a good goal, and Tyler, he's got it on the head of Gonzalez, he's got it over the keeper, Levin comes back with lightning speed to recover this.
So what I see in that one is that guy misses super simple clearance, right? Maybe he's tired, could be that, right? But then he saw the energy for that sprint at the end. So is it a tactical misdecision? Was he trying to pass it to someone and ended up flying up in the air? Was it a technical skill? I'd rather prioritize those 2 sides of the game and not make that mistake in the first place, rather than look for players with, the best 40-yard sprint time. So while the physical aspect is really important, it's all got to be soccer specific. And I'll send you guys a little link to one of the biggest experts on soccer-specific fitness. But basically, you need to think about things in terms of of plays. He calls them football action. So it's not about running fast in a straight line. It's about beating the defender to the ball to connect a pass. Thinking more along those lines than just bigger, faster, stronger LeBron James going in at striker. Okay, so kind of getting into my relationship with you guys, with the parents, the number one thing for me, and this comes after a couple years of mistakes, is communication. So always has to be open lines of communication. texting, email, phone calls, I'm always available for you guys. Because what I found is, there's no communication, things don't get out, and everything kind of bubbles up until it explodes at the end of the season. There's always one or two parents that I've had that come up and they hold everything inside, and at the end, it's like a volcano everywhere. So I found it's a lot healthier for everyone to kind of leak things out a little bit more gradually. So whether that's, playing time, conditions, whether or not there'll be a training if you're going on vacation, just all that stuff, keeping an open line of communication for me is huge. And I'm a pretty quick texter, I'm a millennial, so I get back to people really, really quickly on email and everything. So again, that line is always open. And I definitely encourage you guys, if you have any questions or concerns, to always reach out to me. Everything always goes better that way. And I'm always going to do my best, to be honest. If you guys have questions that a decision might hinge on, I'm never going to try to mislead anybody, because I want everyone to know. I want everyone to know what's actually going on, right? I don't want there to be any secrets or anything hidden. Okay. And then the next thing that's super, super important for everyone here is educating yourselves on the game. So ultimately, you guys are the ones that are going to make decisions for your children, whether they stay with this club or that club. All those things, they're ultimately going to fall with you guys. So it's super important to educate yourselves on the game. And soccer's a global game. So what I found the best way to learn is always watching the best teams in the world. So Champions League games, again, I was really inspired by that Barcelona team that won 6 out of 6 trophies in Europe, just blowing opposition away. I'll send out some more resources. A lot of them are from 343. Like I said, they've been very helpful for me. They do a lot of parent education type articles as well. But educate yourselves on the global game and educate yourselves on how this team is going to play. So even knowing the style of play right now and understanding that there's 4 phases, that probably puts you in the top 10 percentile of parents worldwide, right? To understand those different things. And if you understand the way the team's going to play, if you understand the role that your player has, it's going to be enlightening for you watching the games. It's going to be a lot more enjoyable because you'll understand what they're trying to do. You'll be forgiving of certain mistakes if you kind of understand the thought process behind it. So it's a really, really good idea to kind of make sure you guys are up on all those things. Okay, and then lastly, the support, especially emotional for your players. So I don't know if you guys know who this guy is. Barcelona's goalkeeper. So one of the teams in the world that's known for passing out of the back, their goalkeeper has to have really, really high level foot skills. And this guy, one of the best sweeper keepers in the world, still makes errors like that. This was just a couple of years ago, right? And you can see top 5 epic fails. So there's still 4 more that you guys can watch. So if the best sweeper keeper in the world makes those mistakes, I can guarantee you that our players will make the mistakes too. Okay? It might even look as bad as that, and it might even look worse. So it's super important that we're really supportive of each other, we're really supportive of our players, we're really supportive of everybody involved with the program. Okay? Because we're going to make these mistakes, especially the way that we want to play. I guarantee we're going to have at least 2 or 3 of those this season. And it's important that we're always working towards getting better. It's important that they learn these things young. Because if you take a goalkeeper that's blasted the ball up the field his whole life, and he's 13, 14, 15 years old, and you try and teach him how to play short, and you try and teach him how to play possession style of play, it's a lot more difficult. There's a lot more inertia going in one direction. Whereas right now, it's absolutely okay to make these mistakes. It's absolutely okay for this to happen in games, right? Nobody's contract is riding on, losing a game 3-2 because we played a bad goal kick. So it's really important that we're supportive of the players, and it's really important that we all buy into this vision for the team. So some of you might be totally on board with playing a possession style of play, playing short from the goalkeeper. Some of you might be a little uneasy about it. I'm hoping I can change some minds. But at the end of the day, if you're not fully bought into this vision and fully supportive of the coach and the club, that's totally okay. You need to find a program that you can absolutely buy into. So again, it comes back to you guys as the decision makers. Very important that you're up on everything and you're knowledgeable to the best of your ability to help make the right decision for your players and to find a program you can believe in. And I really hope it's this one. Okay, so like I said, really big on communication. I'll throw my contact info up here. I'll also be sending out this slideshow in an email form, along with some other resources, and that'll always have my contact info on it as well. Like I said, I'm a millennial, so voicemail, listening to you guys talk for 17, 18 seconds. I just can't do it. I don't have the attention span. So I love text messages if I don't answer your phone call. And like I said, emails are a good way to reach me as well. All right, and I believe that's the end of my slides.